There are many issues that lead to the destruction of Earth. One of the reasons is biodiversity loss. Biodiversity loss refers to the decrease in biodiversity within a species, ecosystem, geographic area, or the entire Earth. The current rates of biodiversity loss exceed those of the historical past and shows no sign of slowing down. Its rapid decrease is due to the following: habitat loss and fragmentation, in which land is converted for cropland, urban areas, and infrastructure development. Overexploitation. The main cause of this is the population growth and overconsumption of natural resources. Invasive species, which contributes to the loss because exotic species are introduced intentionally or unintentionally by humans to ecosystems where they do not belong. They are brought to ecosystems without their co-evolved predators and parasites. Illegal wildlife trade, where live animals are taken for pet trade, or part of them are taken and exported for medicines or food. Same with plants which are used for medicinal value. Species extinction, which is said to be a natural process as species fail to adapt to changing conditions. Here are some of the endangered species in the Philippines today: pilandok, sea turtles, and wild Arabica coffee. These three have something in common. One of their reasons for being endangered is because of climate change. Well, it is common knowledge for us that climate change significantly just not affects us humans, but also the other forms of life. The main cause of this issue is due to human activities, like increased usage of fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas, which is used to generate electricity in daily transportation. The greenhouse gas emissions that are made by human activity are the leading cause of Earth's rapid change in climate. Greenhouse gases are released that prevent heat from escaping the Earth's surface, with increase in temperature that may lead to greater changes in weather pattern. It may lead to floods, raging storms, and deadly heat. More issues that contribute to climate change are deforestation and pollution. Deforestation, in which trees are being affected, and is a problem because living trees absorb and store carbon dioxide. Pollution in air, water, and soil, which also contribute to biodiversity loss and climate change. Also, as pollution worsens, we will be at higher risk of cardiovascular diseases. The issues mentioned are the influence of human beings on the ecosystem. We, humans, have deeply altered the environment. It will be hard for some species to adapt to these changes in the environment and will become extinct. Furthermore, these changes don't just affect plants and animals, but also us. Our health depends on it as it provides us ecosystem services such as the source of fresh water, food, and fuel.
What are the factors that greatly affect our surrounding in the current times in regards to biodiversity?
So basically, there are many factors like global warming or climate change. There's exploitation of natural resources. There's also pollution. But all these factors, I think it boils down to one single factor. It's humans. Because everything like the climate change, the exploitation of natural resources, and pollution, we directly affect them as humans. We contribute to these factors that affect our biodiversity.
Do you think that we are part of the answer or the problem for the biodiversity?
As with regards to your question, it's pretty clear that we are part of the problem because as I have said earlier, the factors which affect our biodiversity are caused by us humans. It all boils down to us. We pollute our environment, we exploit the natural resources, and then these exploitations and pollutions, it it causes the global warming and climate change, the depletion of the ozone. Um, so I think I was able to say this because we ourselves, as humans, are consumers. We consume animals. We feed on them, and then we also have human activities that contribute to the problem of biodiversity because there are poachers, there are hunters. They collect. When a country develops, like we build roads, we build buildings. Where do we get the stuffs, the construction materials for it? We quarry. We quarry from mountains, from the rivers. We get sand. But the good thing about it is that us being part of the problem, we can also be part of the solution for it. So it's not an end game already. We don't see it as an end game. We can still do our part. Um, we see some people they're using technology to help conserve our environment. We see people developing renewable resources like Tesla. They use electric cars, so they lessen emissions. We can also help solve it by being more responsible as humans. It's not yet too late to start solving these things.
What do you think are the daily tasks that helps with biodiversity? On a personal level, we're not talking about the companies that are doing stuff. Instead, in our
Okay.
own ways, what are the tasks that we can possibly do that can help
So,
biodiversity?
as an individual, we could conserve the resources we use. So it's a simple task, saving energy, like turning off the lights or aircon when not in use. It helps. In our own small ways, we could help it. Because I think everything starts with the little things. Then it grows big.
Truly, the small things that comes a long way.
Okay, so many indicators and criteria have been developed to evaluate forest management sustainability. But their scientific validity is unknown because the impacts of forest disturbances, such as logging, are frequently specific to certain species, locations, landscapes, regions, and forest types. Management shortcuts like indicator species, focus species, and vegetation cover threshold levels may be of limited generic use. This is an alternative strategy based on a set of 5 biodiversity conservation guiding principles that may be applied to any forested region. First, the maintenance of connectivity. Improving the ecological connectivity between habitats, including protected areas, can reduce the negative effects of fragmentation. Second, the maintenance of landscape heterogeneity. The value of landscape heterogeneity to biodiversity may be determined by the extent of a species' geographic range, which can be influenced by biological characteristics such as habitat generalization and the impacts of past and present land uses. Third, the maintenance of stand structural complexity is considered to be a measure of the number of different attributes present and the relative abundance of each of these attributes. Fourth, the maintenance of aquatic ecosystem integrity. They recycle nutrients, purify water, attenuate floods, augment and maintain stream flow, recharge groundwater, and provide habitat for wildlife and recreation for people. And lastly, the use of natural disturbance regimes to guide human disturbance regimes. This is the tolerance of species to contemporary alteration of forest cover is often assumed to reflect their resilience to natural disturbances. Unmanned aerial vehicles, more commonly known as drones, have become a great ally to conservationists. Indeed, they can help monitor species by providing aerial images of large areas. that are sometimes difficult to assess. Recently, scientists made a breakthrough discovery for wildlife monitoring. Thermal cameras were fitted on drones and flew above the boreal forest to identify orangutans from their heat signatures. Furthermore, astrophysicists, conservationists, and ecologists also conducted an experiment. It was very successful as they spotted 41 orangutans over 2 days. While drones and sensors can provide valuable information to monitor animals, another way of improving conservation efforts and help scientists for biodiversity is by crowdsourcing. According to a 2015 study that tried to estimate the number of visits in protected areas through an approximation model, they received roughly 8 billion visits per year. These tourists create invaluable data on plant and animal species for scientists, ecologists, and conservationists. That is the goal of iNaturalist, a joint initiative between the California Academy of Sciences and the National Geographic Society. It allows amateur observers to upload their photos on the app and share their observations with a community of 750,000 scientists. However, clever and efficient these technologies may be, new technologies alone do not save species.
But of course, we don't live just for ourselves. It is our duty as occupants of this world to address existing problems that is experiencing. The first step in addressing these issues is generally knowing all of them, being informed with its existence and the root of its cause. Biodiversity issues, mainly animals and land resources, are already involved as stated. According to Laudato Si number 132, the culture of relativism is the same disorder which drives one person to take advantage of another, to treat others as mere objects, imposing forced labor on them or enslaving them to pay their debts. We all know that land destruction under biodiversity mostly involves advantage taking of resources of human debt. With that said, in order to untangle these affecting issues to the world, we must refrain from taking advantage of our natural resources. In accordance with Laudato Si number 132, we must know our limitations. Instead of using our lands to build infrastructures and urbanize it that leads to habitat loss and fragmentation and overexploitation, let us leave our lands the way it is to prevent landscape changes that affect plant diversity and develop uncertainties to how natural areas will respond to future global change. Instead of directly using the lands, we should connect habitats through corridors such as road overpasses and underpasses. Governments should also implement regulations about tree cutting to solve deforestation. As consumers, let us also practice reducing the consumption of water and paper. In order to solve pollution, simple eco-friendly practices will do the trick, such as not using plastic bags, avoiding crackers, reducing smoking, and of course reducing, reusing, and recycling. To prevent the spread of invasive species, we must develop control mechanisms. Biological control is the intentional manipulation of natural enemies by humans for the purpose of controlling pests. Mechanical control includes mowing, hoeing, cultivation, and hand pulling. Chemical control is the use of herbicides. To prevent illegal wildlife trade, we need to simply practice personal measures such as choosing a sustainable eco-friendly pet, eating only sustainable seafood, petitioning your local government to stop or restrict illegal ivory trade, and reporting any illegal wildlife trade. The solutions for animal extinction are buying eco-friendly products, following the 3 R's, which are reduce, reduce, and recycle, avoiding buying souvenirs made from endangered species, eating less meat, and spreading awareness. Overall, Pope Francis stated that in the absence of objective truths or sound principles other than the satisfaction of our own desires and immediate needs, what limits can be placed to these wrong activities? Activities that leads to climate change. The general and specific way of addressing biodiversity issues is simply setting a limitation in everything that humans do.